Don't worry. I'll just tell all the other Pokemon that you're on a trip, and you'll come back someday, maybe.
What's... No.
Goodbye,
No.
Butterfree. Bye-bye, Butterfree!
Good luck to both of you.
No! What is up, guys? So today we are back with another deep dive, diving deeper into the Rainbow Cup. Ha, said it right that time. And today we're actually going to be looking at Beedrill, a bug poison type Pokemon who has a little bit of fame coming at it since regionals happened. So it's kind of cool that you guys voted for this Pokemon because I definitely like Beedrill and I think he has a lot of cool utility to it. So let's get into that. So Beedrill being that bug and poison typing, maxing out at level 40 with 15s across the board. You can max out at 1846, which is a decent CP considering that we're going to be trying to get into the Great League. We're still going to get a large amount of our stat product out of this Pokemon considering that we do max out close to at least 1500. So with a 0-1 attack, 13 defense, and 14 stamina at level 32.5, we do achieve a 1499, which is great, and from what I found, that should be the maximum stat product out of your Beedrill while still keeping it under that 1500 mark. Now, according to my spreadsheets and all the numbers that I have ran, Beedrill should rank 46th in bulk and 42nd in stat product, which is okay, that's definitely on the top half of things, but it's not really like amazing. And of course, those do come from our base stats here, which is a 169 on attack, 130 defense, and a 163 on stamina. Not the most ideal spread for PvP. We do like to see that attack lower than defense and stamina, but we can work with what we've got. Now when it comes to our moves here, we do have a few different iterations of Beedrill. Beedrill does actually have a legacy move in Bug Bite here, and a lot of people have been asking, well, you know, should I even worry about Bug Bite? So here's the thing, Bug Bite for 3 energy per turn and 3 damage per turn. Of course, since it is a bug type move and we are bug type, we do get that stat bonus, which does bump it up to 3.6 on the damage. Here's the thing. So, Poison Jab gives us the exact same damage for half an energy more, while Infestation gives us even more energy than that at the sacrifice of a little bit of damage. I guess if you have Bug Bite, it is the best well-rounded bug type move for Beedrill, but I personally don't see really going after a Bug Bite Beedrill. Like, if somebody happens to have one and you're into Beedrill, by all means, that's probably worth it for you. But as far as like hunting down somebody that has a legacy Beedrill just because it has Bug Bite, seems a little extreme to me, because I do think that Poison Jab will do just the right things for you. Poison Jab is going to help hurt fairies, and it's going to help hurt the grass types, which Bug Bite also still helps with. So we're basically getting a tiny bit of energy bonus by using Poison Jab over Bug Bite. So in the scenario where you don't already have a Bug Bite, then I wouldn't really worry too much about it. Poison Jab is definitely our next best option. And Infestation is kind of in this weird limbo state. I really like Infestation because it does have massive energy gain per turn, but it's just, the damage is just really poor here. I really wish that if we had more damage, Infestation would be just a pure amazing bug type move, but we are stuck with that 2 damage per turn, so we do kind of got to work with that. So let's quickly go over these moves really fast. So like we said, Bug Bite, 3 energy for 3 damage, 3.6 after stab. Poison Jab here is 3.5 energy for 3 damage at 3.6 after stab. Then Infestation is 3.67 energy per turn for 2 damage, which does bump up to the 2.4. Now in our charge moves area, we do actually have 3 different charge moves: Sludge Bomb, Aerial Ace, and X Scissor. And these moves I actually really like. So they're all relatively low cost. If we're using our Poison Jab or even Bug Bite, we can get to these moves relatively quickly. X Scissor is the quickest of the moves that we can get to, so that is the most enticing for me, especially if we're already running Poison Jab. I definitely do think it would be nice to have a bug type move just for that general coverage up against just anything else that may end up coming our way. So X Scissor being super fast, and generally if we're running Poison Jab, it's going to help get more coverage. That's a good thing. Then we do have Aerial Ace and Sludge Bomb. And I think it kind of depends on which route you want to go for your Beedrill here, because if you have Sludge Bomb, you're still going to be able to output a lot of poison type damage to a lot of the grass types. You can kind of help there, but the flying type move also helps in those grass type matchups as well. So it's kind of a whichever one you really want to go with. There is some versatility here, but it's kind of the main goal is to be able to take out a lot of these grass types. But the biggest benefit we have here is speed, which I think is what Beedrill really should work towards. So Poison Jab, Aerial Ace, and X Scissor, probably a really strong moveset, 3 different move typings. You're going to be able to just cover a lot of ground, or at least hit neutral damage at worst for a lot of these things. But if you have Bug Bite, Sludge Bomb, and X Scissor, there's nothing wrong with that. That's still going to be relatively fast, and it's still going to hit a lot of things and do a lot of coverage. So it just kind of depends on which route you want to take your Beedrill. Personally, for this video, I did go with Poison Jab, Sludge Bomb, and X Scissor. So let's actually go over the stats for these moves just really fast. We have Sludge Bomb for 50 energy, you get 80 damage at a 1.6 damage per energy ratio. After stab, it does bump up to that 192 because we do have 96 damage now. Then we have Aerial Ace for 45, we get 50 damage at a 1.22. No stab, considering we do not carry that flying typing there. X Scissor here is 35 energy for 45 damage for a 1.29 damage per energy ratio. And after stab, it does bump up to that 54, which makes it a 1.54 in the damage per energy ratio area. Now let's actually move on to some shielding scenarios where we're going to take a look at, in most of the shield situations, what kind of win percentages do we have. So in our first shield scenario, we do have a 0 versus 0, which is where I don't have any shields, my opponent doesn't have any shields, kind of like the muck up, like closing type situation. We do have a 48.9% there, which is fairly good, considering that 20% should be like a almost like pseudo baseline for an entire typing. We do have 2 full typings under our belt, and then some, which is great. That's a lot of freaking Pokemon. Then in our next scenario, we do have this 2 versus 0, which is where I have 2 shields, my opponent doesn't have any shields. We actually end up with a 95.7, and holy cow, that is a ton. But we're actually not too worried about those Pokemon. I actually want to know about that other small percentage of losses that we have, because if I have 2 full shields and they don't have any, I want to know which Pokemon still end up beating me, just like the hard counters for Beedrill here. And there are a couple. So considering that we do carry that poison typing, we actually do have a weakness to the psychic type moves, which means that if you're a confusion user, you pretty much can steal the game from us here. So like Slowpoke, Slowbro, Slowking, Execute, Executor, and even Celebi does show up here. We do actually have a big problem with confusion. Those Pokemon can really start to tear through us. And then Macargo. But you also have to remember that Macargo does carry those rock type moves, so while he also can hit us for fire type damage, he actually does have that rock type damage as well, which is a pretty big deal. He pretty much overwhelms us really quickly. Our next shield scenario is this 0 versus 2, which is where I don't have any shields, my opponent actually has 2 shields. We actually end up winning 7.6% of those matchups. And actually, those are the ones that I'm concerned about, because if they have complete shield advantage, I'd like to know which Pokemon I can still get through. Well, mainly grass types here, but it's not all of the grass types. So the grass types that show up here are basically the ones that don't carry poison typing and really don't have a lot to combat against us. So being that we do have a poison type move with bug type moves, we're pretty super effective towards a lot of the actual grass types. So now we're actually going to be looking into some matchups with our Beedrill here, and in every deep dive I end up taking our subject Pokemon, Beedrill today, and I put them up against the top 10 bulkiest Pokemon in the cup just to kind of see how they do. So we're actually going to go over to PvPoke for this. We're actually going to type in our Beedrill here. So we're going to go Beedrill. We're going to make sure Poison Jab, Sludge Bomb, and X Scissor. Like I said, the moveset that we're going to be using. Now for this scenario, I am going to use a 1 versus 1 shield scenario just to give the most evenness to both Pokemon. Now for this top 10 bulk, I do have a custom group set up. We're going to go to 1 shield here. We're going to make sure Rainbow, Bulk, and as you can see, I do have a Azumarill, Shuckle, literally the top 10, but I do have several Suicune here. I actually have 6 different Suicune movesets. The 2 non-hidden power moves that it currently has that you could basically get inside the boxes, plus a couple of the top hidden power moves that PV Poke actually lists for it. And so a lot of people have been saying that you can't get a Suicune under 1500. You can, it's just extremely, extremely difficult. You're gonna have to trade with a good friend, not even a great friend. You're gonna literally have to hope for, at worst, I think it was a 1-2-2, a 1 on attack, 2 defense, 2 stamina, something like that. It's literally like insanely low, because if it actually ends up with 2-2-2, it's going to be put over. It's like a 1506 or something like that. So Suicune is possible. It's very, very unlikely that somebody's going to have one with hidden power, but I still do include both movesets like Extrasensory and Snarl just to kind of give you an idea here. So let's actually hit battle, and as you can see, we have 8 wins and 7 losses, but that's more than 10. Remember, Suicune. So let's actually look at these. So up until this point in the video, I did have a slight error in this section. Lantern is actually a win for us. I don't know if when I was jotting down my notes if I just accidentally marked it in the wrong column, but either way, Lantern is actually a win. So let's actually go over all of these here. So we do actually have Jumpluff being our biggest win here. Considering that we do have a ton of effectiveness towards the grass types, Jumpluff is no big deal. Azumarill actually coming in second, which is crazy because Azumarill, you know, is one of the tankiest freaking Pokemon in the Great League right now, and he's just amazing. I mean, he's great, and we still end up beating it. Then we do have some Suicunes, so Hidden Power Grass, Bug, and Snarl, and Hidden Power Ground are no big deal for us. You can kind of see that Extrasensory could give us some problems, considering that we do carry that weakness to the Psychic type. Then we do have Lantern, which shows up here, Shuckle that also shows up, and then we start to get into our losses. So Lapras, Dugong, Mantine, Tentacruel, and Fortress are all losses for us, but in this scenario, considering that we won 4 out of the 6 Suicune movesets, we're going to consider Suicune a win, which makes it a split 5-5, which is pretty crazy. Out of the top 10 Pokemon, this little Pokemon at 46th in bulk has enough firepower to literally break through half of the top 10 bulkiest Pokemon. Next, we're gonna get into some countering sections here. So the green here is what we should be focusing our attention on with Beedrill, and the red is kind of just what we want to bring to combat this Beedrill here. So our first Pokemon up top is a bug typing. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go up to this custom part. We're gonna hit Rainbow Cup, make sure it stays on 1 shield versus 1 shield. Our moveset still looks good. Gonna hit battle, and as you can see in the 1v1 shield scenario, we do actually win this 51.1%, which is pretty crazy. I mean, that's actually higher than even our 0 versus 0 and our 2v2. So Beedrill has got it going on here. So our first section here is actually the bug typing. So let's actually look at these. So as you can see in the bugs, we do have kind of a big bulk of these as a win, and then we do have a few losses. So Pineco, Heracross, Ladian, Parasect, Pinsir, Ariados, and Yanma are all wins for us. Then we start to get into Scyther, Beedrill. There is a moveset that actually beats Beedrill in a 1v1. Scizor, Fortress, Butterfree, and Venomoth. Less bulky or slow is what we have written there, and that's kind of what you can see here. Pineco, Ladian is actually quite the bulk, so let's see why Ladian actually ends up losing here. Yeah, the best that it has is Bug Bite, and then it has Aerial Ace, which could give us some problems, but we've actually end up shielding it before it can get off another move, so it literally just looks like it's a speed victim here. We're just literally faster than that. Parasect actually carries that grass typing, so it's going to take some super effective damage here and there. Then we have Pinsir, which is pretty like frail. Then we have Ariados, which is also in that frail category. Yanma, not super bulky. It should have oh, it's actually utilizing all flying here. Ah, that's why. So it either has flying or quick attack, and then we basically go with Aerial Ace or Ancient Power. Ancient Power is really good considering that it is a rock type move. And then Silver Wind, yeah, it doesn't actually look like it helps it too much there. Actually, it is a pretty close matchup either way you look at it though. And then in our losses, you can kind of see Scyther actually still has X-Scissor, and it's pretty much on the same speed level as us. Beedrill, you know, the moveset that's going to beat us, Yeah, you can actually use Aerial Ace to win in the 1v1. And then you do have Scizor, which is going to be resisting quite a bit of our damage considering that it does carry that steel typing. Fortress is in that same category. And then Butterfree and Venomoth, confusion users. Our next category is the electric typing, and as you can see I do have resistors written here, and that's because basically the ones that we lose against are resisting us. Magnemite and Magneton both carry that steel typing, so they have a ton of resistance to our moves. Raichu is actually there. Raichu's pretty freaking fast. A lot of people are saying that it's really squishy. Yeah, it is really squishy, but you're not running it for the bulk. You're running it for the pure speed and shield breaking ability there. Now, we do have ties up against both Zapdos and Raikou. Those are stat heavy monsters, and I mean, Raikou having access to some neutral damage with Shadow Ball could give us some trouble, but after that, it is no big deal. Jolteon, Ampharos, Chinchou, Lantern, Electabuzz, Flaffy, and Electrode are all wins there. Next, we're moving on to the grass types, which is what I've been talking about the entire time that Beedrill is really good up against. So let's actually take a look. So Meganium, Ivysaur, Tangela, Jumpluff, Oddish, Blossom, Weepinbell, Gloom, Vileplume, Victreebel, Bayleaf, Parasect, Venusaur, Executor, then we start to lose there. So the Executor and Celebi are a big problem here, and as you can see, the Ivysaur is a clear win, but the Venusaur is pretty like getting there. We do win with a fair bit of HP left, but as you can see, we're able to combat a lot of that damage utilizing Poison Jab and X Scissor. So pretty good matchups there. Just have to kind of look out for the couple of confusion users that pop up in the grass typing. Now we're going to talk about the side of things that you should just really bring if you're worried about Beedrill. Having a counter for Beedrill could be a pretty good idea at this point. I'm really digging the Beedrill if you can't tell. So in the fire typings we actually have two wins, which are Typhlosion and Ho-Oh. Now Ho-Oh, I think Ho-Oh is actually in that weird spot where he can't be, if I'm not mistaken, like at level 20. There's no way, even at level 15, I don't think there's any way. So for what it's worth, Ho-Oh is a win. I just don't think that you're gonna see one. So Growlithe and Magby are both ties, and then we start to just fall apart here. So Magmar, Quilava, Ponyta, Entei, Charizard, Ninetales, Flareon, as you can see, it just goes. And then Magcargo, like we've talked about earlier, is a loss just straight out of the gate. It's one of the harder losses that we have in the fire typing. So fire types are gonna be really good up against the Beedrill here. Last but not least, we do have the water typing, and holy cow. So Azumarill, Blastoise, Crocodile, I'm not gonna be able to get through all these. All of these are wins here, as you can kind of see. Some notable ones here: Feraligatr, Kingdra, Poliwrath, Politoed is a tie, which is interesting. The Azumarill, the Blastoise, the Crocodile, all those wins there are really great. Then we do get into the tie with Politoed and start to lose from there. Suicune, preferring that extra sensory move, of course does show up here as a loss for us, but it just kind of depends on which one you run into. Slowpoke, confusion user. Lapras, Dugong, Mantine, we've already talked about those in the top 10 bulk. Then we do have Amistar, Ammonite, utilizing a lot of those rock type moves. Quillfish actually being able to hold on quite good there. Starmie probably going to be utilizing a hidden power, hidden power psychic there. And then we do have Quagsire, which Quagsire is a monster all in itself. We've done a deep dive on him, we already know. Slowbro and Slowking there pulling out the bottom because they do have access to that confusion. As you can kind of see here, Beedrill has a really strong footing, but the thing that kind of gets under your skin are the fire, the rock, and the psychic type moves. So you kind of have to play around those a little bit, but I mean, considering all of these stats, Beedrill is a great pick for this cup. I really like Beedrill. And luckily, if you already were powering one up for regionals that just ended recently, then hey, you've pretty much got a really good Pokemon to go in the Rainbow Cup with. Now, is he the best bug type Pokemon? In my heart, no, but possibly for the cup, definitely. But that is actually going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. Considering that this video is recorded on Monday and I will be releasing it on Monday, I want to let you know that I am going to start editing the regionals and the Nightmare Cup footage that I got in the last 2 days. There has been a ton of freaking running around, and everything has happened in the last 2 days. So I will be getting on that today, trying to have that video out hopefully tomorrow for the regionals, and then we'll probably round out the Nightmare Cup before the Nightmare Cup actually officially ends. June 1st is what, Saturday or something like that. So either way, I'm gonna try my hardest to literally get them out as quickly as possible. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Always remember that if you have a deep dive, you can let me know down in the comments below. I'll put it in the spreadsheet, we'll upload it, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you can do that, but if you don't, keep be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in those comments below, and until our next video, I will catch you then.